Sidon Ithano was a male Delphidian pirate who lived in the Outer Rim territories around 30 years after the Battle of Endor. In the years leading up to the conflict between the First Order and the Resistance, he became the most notorious thief of his species and gained the reputation of the best pirate in the region. Aside from being called the Blood Buccaneer and the Red Raider, Ithano earned the title of the Crimson Corsair due to his choice of clothing. Speaking of which, he wore crimson coloured robes, an armour-weave-lined cape, and a red plasteel helmet which resembled the reptilian Kaleesh species, concealing his Delphidian heritage. In addition, he equipped a blaster rifle that he proudly captured from a Kanjiklubber. For several years, Ithano served alongside the Weequay pirate Scorza aboard an Outer Rim-centred cruiser named the New Gilliland. Unfortunately, it was destroyed by the Hutt syndicate after Scorza betrayed Ithano in favour of an alliance with the Hutts. But the Corsair managed to survive the attack and even accumulated enough credits to start his own crew. For obvious reasons, he never asked Scorza to join him. However, Scorza took the rejection personally and vowed to have his revenge. A bit harsh considering, he tried to kill Ithano in the first place, which is something that kind of sticks with you, but whatever, I guess. 50 standard years after the Clone Wars, Ithano's crew included his first mate Quiggles, Pendukel, Rigbrosna and Squeaky. Whilst lounging in the Penema Cantina, Ithano and his 6 crew members received a transmission dating back to the Clone Wars. The message was relayed from B1CC-14, a B1 battle droid that was stationed aboard the Awakens 3, a CIS Providence class dreadnought. It crash-landed on Penema during the Clone Wars with the treasure of Count Dooku. When Pendukel persuaded his captain and the rest of the crew to seek out the crashed craft before other pirates discovered the treasure, Ithano and company quickly made their way to the southern region of the planet. Because starships could not fly in what was known as the Sea of Sand due to the frequent lightning storms, magma geysers, and 50-metre high waves of caustic sand that acted as a phenomenal sea, Ithano and his crew took off in their sail barge, the custom red-painted Shrike. During the voyage, they concluded that the treasure was the collection of Jedi lightsaber kyber crystals that Dooku had collected over the Clone Wars. If so, the crew would be substantially richer. Unknown to Ithano, however, many other gangs also pursued the craft, including Scorza and his gang, the Grey Gundarks. When the Corsair's sail barge entered the Sea of Sand, a massive sandstorm tornado pulled the Shrike off course. During the chaos, Scorza caught up with the Shrike and fired at his nemesis' vessel with his laser cannons. As the two gangs collided, a geyser of lava erupted, setting many of the Grey Gundark bikers ablaze, as well as the two pirate vessels. Ithano dueled the bikers with his vibro sword until he encountered Scorza. Although the captain was told of the revenge story, he stated he never recognised the Weequay pirate since he came across a lot just like him. Infuriated, Scorza attacked his former ally, only to quickly lose the upper hand. He kicked Scorza over the Shrike's railing, where he met an explosion of a kinetic disruptor that froze the nearby storm. As the opposition pirates died in flames, Ithano and his crew rushed towards the wreckage of the Awakens 3. The Corsair and his crew reached an airlock to the cruiser, only to discover other crews had reached the ship beforehand. However, they all lay dead from poisonous duralium gases, which had leaked for over 5 decades. But Ithano and his team donned rebreathers to avoid a similar fate. The cruiser was littered with deactivated battle droids and corroded metal. As they reached the bridge of the battleship, they noticed the droids were slowly reactivating due to an ion storm that swept the region months before, so the crew raced through the ship to find and claim the treasure before the droids could pose a threat. They discovered the ship's vault and surgically opened it with a blaster rifle and some explosives. What was inside surprised everyone, however. Instead of lightsaber crystals, the crew discovered a cryopsychostasis pod containing a sleeping being. Although it wasn't the expected treasure, it still had some significance due to the fact it was placed within a vault. Ithano gestured to have the pod awoken, and a Galactic Republic clone trooper emerged. He had learned of a Sith plot to destroy the Jedi Order during the Clone Wars, but was captured and placed in stasis by Dooku before he could save the Jedi and the Republic. The trooper, known as CT-6116, or Kix for short, was a medic. He explained how he needed to save the Republic by reporting his knowledge to Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, but before Ithano could further question the clone, Kix fell unconscious. Quiggled mocked Pendukel for having the crew search for a treasure that no longer mattered. Fearing that the Corsair would punish him greatly for endangering their lives on a worthless hunt, Pendukel fled. Ithano was upset with his crew member, but he told the others to grab the clone and leave for the strike since the Obrexa Free was falling apart and the droids were becoming increasingly more animated. However, to their disbelief, Scorza appeared and pointed a blaster their way. He demanded the rival gang stop, but they simply watched a squad of B-2 super battle droids decimate the Weequay pirate. Unfortunately, a massive sandworm devoured the strike, meaning the crew had to find an alternate method of escape. Ithano acknowledged Quiggle's suggestion and headed for the Obrexa Free's escape pods. Unfortunately, only one escape pod remained, and not everyone was able to fit inside it. Selflessly, Ithano stayed behind just as the sandworm tore through the craft, causing it to explode. However, the Corsair managed to survive somehow and retrieved the Obrexa Free's memory core, which held the locations of every separatist base and droid factory. 3 weeks after the awakening of Kix, Ithano made his way back to the cantina, much to the shock of his crew, though Quiggle had faithfully refused to accept the death of his friend. Assuring his crew that they would become rich if they plundered the forgotten separatist bases, Ithano gave Kix the memory core. Since the clone was an expert in Clone Wars era military technology, Kix joined their crew as their guide. Sometime later, Ithano and Quiggle visited Maz Kanata's castle, where they encountered a First Order fugitive defector named Finn. He offered to join their crew in exchange for safe passage to the Outer Rim, away from the First Order's reach. However, the faction launched an attack on Takodana just as they were ready to leave the planet. Concerned about the safety of his friend Rey, Finn decided to abandon his new allegiance. A man down, Ithano and the others continued with their quest to leave the planet. Now it's time for this week's question. Would you personally like to see more of Ithano and his gang in the future? Let me know in the comments below. To have your say in future Star Wars The Force Awakens lore videos, head on over to thekangasands.com and get voting. Thanks for watching, and for more Star Wars The Force Awakens lore, keep it locked here to the Kangasands. With E3 just around the corner, a lot of people have been speculating and hoping there will be a few announcements about the revival of some potentially awesome Star Wars interactive adventures. So with that in mind, let's look at the top 10 cancelled Star Wars games.